Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a first look at the weather for Christmas 2023 and whether there's any possibility of it being a white Christmas. First though, what is the official definition of a white Christmas from the Met Office? It's basically the Christmas when at least one snowflake is observed falling during the 25th of December somewhere in the UK. So technically most Christmases are white because we often have snow across the higher ground of Scotland and sometimes high ground of Wales, etc, etc. But really in this video we're going to be taking a look at kind of the white Christmas in terms of whether or not we'll see a widespread significant snow or at least some sort of more widespread snowfall. Firstly though, let's take a look at some of the weather models in the next couple of weeks leading up to the 25th of December. To do this we're going to use the GEFS pressure anomalies, so the how much above or below the average pressure is from the ensemble models, and this gives us a pretty good idea of the overall weather picture. And you can see over the next few days it looks like we're going to have, actually let me change the color of this pen to black. So over the next few days it looks like we're going to have above average pressure here where we've got those yellow and orange colors, and that's typically going to happen to the south of us. So kind of a mix of kind of fairly wet in the north with this kind of low pushing in here, bringing quite a lot of rain to parts of Scotland, including the risk of flooding, and then more settled to the south, but also fairly mild, so definitely a contrast to what we had at the beginning of December, feeling quite chilly. And you can see that high pressure remains to the south of us, or at least to the kind of the southwest, as you can see here, during the next week or so, with a continued kind of fairly mild westerly flow. And this time we've got the potential for parts of more of the UK to be quite wet as we get influence of low pressure coming down during Wednesday, Thursday. Now this is a time that uncertainty starts to increase, but you can see here by Friday the 22nd of December, so leading up to that Christmas weekend, we have a big area of dark blue and purple showing up on the chart to the northeast of us. And what this shows is a large area of below average pressure. And then similarly, we still have that area of high pressure to the southwest of us, and so what that does is it starts to bring in a slightly more northwesterly and even slightly more northerly flow by Friday. Now, uncertainty does start to decrease here, but at least for a time, what does look like could happen is that in the kind of Christmas weekend, so 22nd through to the kind of 25th or 6th, we're going to start to see even slightly more of a northerly flow being pulled in. And you may be wondering, why is this important? Well, that is because when you have a northerly flow, you're pulling in the air from the north of us, which is cold because of course, it's coming from the Arctic. So potentially around Christmas, we're looking at the chance for a cold interlude from the north. Now, taking a look at some of the weather models, the kind of operational weather models instead of the ensemble, which I just showed you. Now, take these with kind of a grain of salt because they are constantly chopping and changing, and we're still kind of a good week and a bit out from Christmas itself, so the confidence is naturally very low. But if we did see one of these northerly setups, hypothetically, what would that possibly look like? So this GFS run kind of shows that evolution quite nicely. We have our high pressure to the kind of southwest of us during Christmas, and then we have general areas of low pressure moving through to the northeast, and that sets us up quite nicely in a northwesterly by kind of the 23rd. Now, if this were to occur, like I said, which is a fairly big if at this time, which I'll show you in a second, then what we would see is fairly frequent snow showers across western areas, especially across Northern Ireland and western Scotland, because of the temperature contrast between the sea and the cold upper air, kind of the cold air mass. We would get instability, which would lead to a lot of these showers forming, and we possibly also would see some more localized areas of low pressure, which would bring longer spells of snow at times. So hypothetically, if we were to get a northerly around Christmas time, we probably would see fairly widespread snowfall across northern and western areas. Maybe not significant but because of the nature of kind of snow showers, it could possibly be fairly widespread. But the reason this is uncertain is because if I show you some different weather models, for example the European weather model, what we can see is a fairly different scenario. Here the kind of air mass, also the wind direction, is a lot less kind of direct northerly as the GFS has it. In fact, kind of by the 22nd, we still have a kind of vaguely similar setup with that low to the northeast and the high pressure to the southwest. But you can see the kind of direction is more northwesterly, and we do still see snow showers, especially across northern Scotland, but they're not to the same extent. And actually, by kind of Christmas itself, we have more of a westerly flow across the UK. So this would be mild, rainy, unpleasant weather really for the majority, and then the risk of snow across high ground of Scotland and northern England. So this is kind of showing you why we can't really say with much confidence exactly what it's going to be like on Christmas, and it's not really worth looking at these individual weather models and saying, oh well, the GFS is showing a snow event on Christmas Day, so it's going to be a white Christmas. That's pointless, because it's just way too far to say it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, it's going to change in the next run, something like that. But what we can do is kind of look at the general pattern like I've shown you here, and so then comparing this the ensemble of the European model, you can see also we do actually have a slightly better signal for a northerly on the ensembles, which would probably again favour parts of northern Scotland for wintry weather. But again, by Christmas, similar to the operational run, it's a more kind of westerly look, still ahead of a northerly across the north. So definitely that kind of area of northern Scotland definitely coming up again and again. But you can see here it's more uncertain whether the rest of the UK and Ireland would see a cold spell. So kind of it's hard to say at the minute. We can get a slightly better idea by looking at the ensembles. This is the GFS ensemble for London, and when we've got our lines closer together, that's indicating better uncertainty between the ensemble members. And you can see this is kind of the in between the 21st and the 22nd, we're getting a fairly cold interlude there. I mean, nothing particularly remarkable. That probably wouldn't even be cold enough for snow, but it does look to get colder. And then you can see kind of the trouble is, so things turn milder again, and then by the time we actually are looking at Christmas itself, you can see there's not a lot of uncertainty. There's not a lot of certainty. There's a fair amount of spread. You can see the lines are relatively all over the place. Yes, the mean, which is the white line, is kind of slightly going towards the southern end of that cluster. You can see there's a few more ensembles in this colder side, so it's definitely a possibility, but I would still say there's not quite there's not quite enough certainty at this stage, which of course is normal because we're at 2 weeks out. It's just because a lot of people want to know what it's going to be like for Christmas, because a lot of people want a white Christmas. If we change that to somewhere further north, so this is Inverness, you can see that certainty is actually a lot better. The majority of ensemble members have temperatures below -5 degrees at 850 hectopascals here, which is around 1.5 kilometers up in the air. But this temperature is generally conducive for snowfall, so to see this kind of certainty is a pretty good sign. But bear in mind, this is in a kind of much smaller area than the broad kind of the UK at large. So while there is better certainty on cold weather around Christmas time further north, still mild as possible, but still it's not going to be, it also doesn't guarantee widespread snowfall. Kind of putting all of that together now, taking a kind of overall look, this is the this graphic that I made, and it's kind of just showing the early thoughts of the potential possibilities around Christmas. So you can see for the majority of the UK and Ireland, we are looking at a low risk of snow, both in terms of it actually falling and also because we have low confidence at this stage, so it's just way too early to say. However, given the kind of reoccurring theme from the ensembles and even the operational runs, such as kind of, you can see, bring that northerly into northern areas around Christmas time, what there is some better kind of certainty on is that these areas, so potentially Northern Ireland and parts of Ireland, but especially in Scotland and especially across northwestern Scotland, there is a slightly higher chance of snow, as kind of 10% to possibly as high as 40%, especially across higher ground. I kind of don't want to put exact numbers on it, but I know quite a lot of people find that to be kind of more useful. So this general region, I would keep an eye out over the next kind of week or so on the forecast for Christmas, because you do have a fairly it's a chance which you can't ignore. It's not significant yet, but you can't ignore it just because of the kind of repeated signal for cold weather we've seen. But then again, there is still a lot of uncertainty of what's going to happen exactly. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll continue to update you as we approach the 25th of December. Thank you and bye.